Hey boaters, Keith McGowan here. I am the Outboard Dad here to help you have a better boating experience. Do you use diagnostic tools on your four-stroke motors? We're going to be getting into some of that, so stay tuned. But today we're going to continue on with our Evinrude XP150 lower unit. If you remember, I was having a little trouble getting those bearings lined up. It was as simple as what I said. I had a socket that was very close to the same of the outside of that. Sometimes you can use the drive shaft and get it lined up, but it wasn't working, so I used a socket that was just a little bit smaller and just got it down in there, and it lined them all up, and I was able to get the drive shaft in. So piece of cake on that. Now we just got to get it together the rest of the way. Don't forget, my used outboard motor buying guide's for sale on Amazon right now. This is not an in-depth guide. It's a simple grab and go for $20 that can save you thousands on the top things you need to test when you're buying an outboard motor or a boat with an outboard motor. Still offering for a limited time. If you send me an email or proof of purchase at keith@outboarddad.com, I will help you, give you a half-hour session over the phone. It's a $250 value to help you with a motor that you're buying, or maybe a boat you're buying with an outboard, or maybe a motor that you're working on to help you get out on the water. So we're really in good shape now with this motor. We're ready to start putting things back together. I don't want to over clean and degrease. I had covered up here our gear set, right? That's going to go right back in. I didn't turn it over. There's a little pin here that can come out. If you remember, we had one of those bearings in the bottom, so I'm glad we found that. There's a pin that goes through the center of this, so when you shift back and forth, I thought it was that pin maybe was broken, but no, it was one of those bearings. So let's start getting this back together. We did clean this thoroughly, so before I slip this in, I'm just going to go ahead and take another look to make sure I didn't drop anything other than maybe some white lithium grease in the bottom of this. You know, I'll give it a good wipe. Make sure it's nice and clean. I'm also going to spray some brake cleaner around the outside cone, which is where this O-ring is going to seal against. And then we're going to go ahead and get into our parts bag from Pro Marine Parts and start analyzing which seals we're going to use, because the kit covers a lot of different models. So I'm going to take a little bit of brake cleaner first, spray it in here. Make sure that surface is really clean where that seal is going to meet, because we want this to seal up really well. Take a cleaner spot on the rag and do it one more time. And now we're ready to assemble. So, let me drop you down here so you can see a little bit better. Trying to give you guys better camera angles based on the feedback you guys have been giving me. So this is the set that came out. As you can see, there's still a little bit of the old oil in there, the 90 weight, and a little milkiness. I'm not too concerned about that, because this oil is going to have to be changed after he runs it, because we put white lithium all in that bearing and it's going to mix up in there. It's not going to cause a problem, but no matter who seals it, myself or anybody, you run it once and you check it to make sure there's no water in there. So this also has a pin on the back of it right here, a locator, and there's a hole back inside there. Let me see if I can show you that. Now, how do we know it lines up? Well, only way we're going to tell is we're going to look down from the top where our shift shaft goes and make sure this is centered. And of course, it has to be in the case all the way so that we can get the shift shaft down inside there. And sometimes I'll screw the shift shaft down there to give it a little wiggle to make sure it's lined up. But ultimately, I'm just going to hold it straight. Also, we're making sure that this is all together here. Sometimes these bearings will fall out, so we want to make sure that that stays together. As it rotates on me while I'm trying to do it. And it may rotate a little bit. Of course, I have my drive shaft in there, so that's why it's not going in all the way, you dummy. So we'll just pick up on that. Slide this in the rest of the way. Actually, I'm going to take it out because it's a little hard to do and keep straight. So now what I can do is I can shine my light from up top to see if my shift shaft is lining up at all. and it is not. We turned all the way over, so I'll do it again. Remember, a good mechanic doesn't mind doing it 2-3 times. Just trying to keep it, see if we can push it down. Yeah, it was, when I pull it up, see how it goes up? When I pull back, see how it goes down? And I kept pulling it up to try and keep the bearings in place, but instead we're gonna keep it so it's down and try it again. There we go. It's almost there, but I need to put my shift shaft in and just line it up. I'm going to show you what it looks like, what I'm doing in here. Let's see if I can show you this. Now, if you see now that where the hole is where my shift shaft goes in, and that is not lined up straight, right? We're going to turn that a little bit to the left, and that'll get us lined up so the shaft will go in the rest of the way. We'll get our shift shaft in there. I'm also going to make sure the end of it is clean too. You know, I don't want to be getting any junk in there that it's got a nice clean gearbox. So I'm going to thread this in the hole and just move it over to the left a little bit like we talked about. Just now, something's not lining up right. I'm not feeling comfortable, so I'm going to pull this back out. Don't see anything in the way. Don't see any reason why it wouldn't go in there. We're going to just try it again. This time I'm going to watch it go through the different cavities here, keeping it lined up. See where it needs to be. Let's put our shift shaft in and see if it lines up perpendicular with that. And let's see what I'm going to see. If obviously if the shaft lines up here, we're not in all the way, but if it lines up with this, then it should be good. And it does, right there. It's exactly where it needs to be. All right, so we're in place now. We do have to clean this up. There's a seal in here we're going to change too. So not everything always goes 1, 2, 3. You want to check and double check and triple check just to make sure. Now we may put this drive shaft in and try to put the gear on, and maybe we can't get it in there. Because maybe it's not in all the way, but I feel it is after this little test that we just did here. So we will find out in the next episode. I'm going to get the drive shaft gear in place, and then we're going to slip our drive shaft down, making sure we don't. Actually, I think I'm going to slip the drive shaft down, hold it up, and then put this in place because I want to make sure none of those bearings come out. I can look down inside there now, and I know, and I also, you know, we had this in there, and you can see all the bearings around, right? You can see the marks from the white lithium from all the bearings. So I'm going to put this in now because I'm impatient. And I'm going to try and center it as I go down to not knock any of those bearings out. And I'm going to look, make sure we didn't drop any bearings. So I am going to have to pick it up a little bit to get our drive gear in place, and then we'll get the nut on it in our next episode. So please like, subscribe, send me any comments that you have. What are you wrestling with? If you're a mechanic, you're wrestling with stuff. Nothing ever goes exactly the way you want it to. I don't care how many times you've done it. I've done I don't know how many lower units. Haven't had this challenge before. So what? You overcome it, you make it happen. Have a great day.